This is a Lumen Theory original production. The last time a friend told you they succeeded, part of you died a little. And you said congratulations anyway. You smiled, you sent the message, you did the whole warm shape of the right response. And underneath it, in a place you would never show anyone, something small and cold curled up and would not celebrate. You know exactly the moment I mean. The promotion, the engagement, the house, the good news landing in the group chat, and that half second before you caught yourself, that flicker of why them, that flicker of why not me, that drop in your stomach that you buried so fast you almost got away with pretending it was never there. But it was there. You felt it, about someone you love. And you have hated yourself for it quietly and told no one ever. Because to say it out loud is to admit there is something rotten in you. There is nothing rotten in you. This is the most universal feeling on earth, and it is the one absolutely no one will admit to. And right now, some of you are already writing the comment, "Not me. I am genuinely happy for my friends. I never feel this." And I want you to notice, gently, without me having to say it too directly, that the people who insist the loudest that they never feel it are so often the ones it holds the tightest, because a feeling you refuse to admit is a feeling you can never put down, and it runs you from the dark where you will not look at it. It has a name, and the name is envy, and it is the wrong feeling aimed at the wrong people for reasons that are not even true, and it is quietly eating your one life from the inside. And the reason it will never stop on its own, the reason it has followed you since you were a child and will follow you to the very end, is that the thing you are reaching for does not exist, has never existed, and cannot exist. And some part of you already knows this, and reaches anyway. You know the feeling. It is late, the room is dark, the screen is bright, your thumb is moving on its own. And there it is. Someone you knew on a beach you will never stand on. Someone younger than you holding the thing you have wanted for a decade, a face better than yours, a body better than yours, a life that looks from the pit where you were lying like the life that was supposed to be yours before something went quietly wrong and it went to them instead. And your chest does the thing, that fast, sour, shrinking clench, there and gone before you can even look at it directly. And you would die before you said it out loud to anyone, because we have all silently agreed that this is the one feeling you never admit to. So you swallow it. You feel it 8, 10, 20 times a day, in the dark, alone, and you tell no one, and you lie there certain that your insides are uglier than everyone else's, that other people do not rot like this, that this particular smallness is yours alone. It is not yours alone. It is the most common feeling on earth and the least confessed. And that gap between how universal it is and how alone it makes you feel is the exact place it does its work. Every person who has ever looked at a brighter life than theirs has felt precisely what you feel. The friend you assume floats above all this feels it. The person in the photo you envy feels it about someone else tonight in their own dark room. You are not defective. You are standing in a river that every human being who has ever lived has stood in, and drowning in it alone, convinced you are the only one wet. The man who saw the bottom of this river more clearly than almost anyone was a bitter, sleepless, brilliant German named Arthur Schopenhauer, who refused to look away from the thing the rest of us flinch from, and who came back with a report so cold, so accurate, that reading it feels less like philosophy and more like being seen in a way you did not consent to. And I'm going to give you that report, all of it, because you need to hear the whole machine before the one small mercy at the end will mean anything. And I will be honest with you now so you are not ambushed later. There is very little comfort in this. What there is comes at the very end, and it is thin, and it is cold, and it is the only true thing I have to give you, and it will have to be enough, because it is all there is. 6 things Schopenhauer understood about the thing that is eating you. Let me show you the whole of it. The first thing, you will never win the comparison, because the comparison was built from the ground up to be unwinnable, and you have been playing it every day for years without ever once noticing the rules. She scrolls for 20 minutes before sleep, every night, the way you might press on a bruise to check that it still hurts. And in those 20 minutes, she watches a wedding, a promotion, a kitchen, a coastline, 3 effortless faces, a pregnancy, and she sets the phone down on her chest in the dark, feeling like the most left-behind human being who has ever lived. Like everyone she has ever known graduated from a life she was quietly held back in. And she does not do the arithmetic, because no one does. Those 20 images came from 200 lives across 5 years, each one the single most perfect moment that person managed to stage and select and survive to post. She just watched the assembled highlights of 1,000 existences and set them against the raw, unedited, ongoing footage of her own ordinary night. She lost. She was always going to lose. And tomorrow night, she will press the bruise again. Schopenhauer understood the structure of this a century and a half before the machine existed to perfect it. We do not compare our lives to other lives. We compare the entire felt interior of our own existence, the boredom, the doubt, the private rot, the 3 a.m. ceiling, against the polished shell that everyone else has built, specifically for us to look at. You know every crack in your own life because you are trapped inside it. You know none of the cracks in theirs because you are standing outside, at the wall, which is the only part they will ever let you see. And it is worse than a fair fight lost. It is a fight staged so that you and everyone always loses and never sees the stage. And here is the first turn of the knife. They took that photo 11 times. They waited for the light. They angled the camera away from the mess on the floor, the argument that happened an hour ago, the same 3 a.m. ceiling they stare at too. You did not see the 10 rejected frames or the mess just outside the edge. You saw the one survivor of a brutal little selection. In your mind, which never witnessed the selection, filed it as simply what their life is. And think about when you do this to yourself, because the timing is not random either. You do not open the phone and compare when you are at your strongest, fresh, rested, sure of yourself. You do it at night, when you are tired and your defenses are down, or in the gray flat middle of an afternoon when something already feels empty, or in the minutes after something went wrong and the wound is open. You reach for the exact thing that will hurt you at the exact moment you are least able to survive it. And then you scroll through the curated triumphs of 200 people while you are lying in the dark feeling like the least of them. No one is making you do this. That is the part that should stop you cold. You are the one who picks up the device. You are the one who goes looking. Some deep and self-punishing part of you seeks out the precise images that will confirm the thing you most fear about yourself, that you are behind, that you are less, that everyone else got the life you missed. And it seeks them out on purpose, night after night, because the confirmation, however much it hurts, is at least known, and the known reaches for the known even when the known is the pain itself. You are not being informed by all this looking. You are being slowly, methodically hollowed out by your own hand on a schedule you sent yourself. You are not comparing yourself to their best moment. You are comparing yourself to a fiction assembled from their best moments against the whole ugly truth of yours. No one could survive that comparison. Everyone runs it anyway, every night, forever. So the first question, and answer it in the dark where no one can hear you lie. When the feeling comes that everyone is ahead of you, are you comparing your life to theirs? Or are you comparing everything you know about your own insides against the almost nothing they chose to let you see? Because only one of those is real, and it is not the one that is hurting you. And you will do it again tomorrow and the night after. And this is the part that should frighten you most, because it means the feeling is not a mood that passes. It is a habit your brain has built, a groove worn so deep that your thumb finds the app before you have decided to open it, that seeks out the exact images that will hurt you, because the hurt has become familiar, and the familiar, even when it is agony, is what the mind reaches for in the dark. You are not stumbling into the comparison by accident. Some part of you is going and getting it every night, the way a tongue goes back to a broken tooth. And the machine that shows you these lives has studied exactly how to keep you doing it, has learned which images sink the hook deepest, and feeds them to you precisely when you are most tired and least able to look away. You think you are passing time. You are being farmed. Your envy is the crop, and you plant it yourself every night in the dark with your own hand, and you call it relaxing, and you wonder in the morning why you woke up already tired of your own life. The second thing, even if you won, even if you got the exact thing, it would turn to ash in your hands within the week, because getting what you want has never once made a human being happy, and Schopenhauer built his entire black philosophy on the proof. Picture the man who wanted a particular thing for 11 years. Not a passing want, a real one, the kind that lives in the back of the skull for a decade and shapes everything. And he sacrificed, and he saved, and he got it, the exact one, and he sat inside it and felt, for about a week, that he had finally gotten somewhere. And then the thing happened that he told no one about, because it frightened him. The thing became ordinary. The object he had wanted for 11 years became the thing he barely noticed, and the wanting, which he had been so certain this would end, detached itself and drifted off and settled quietly on something new. He had been sure the hunger was about the object. The hunger was never about the object. The hunger was just the hunger, and it had used the object the way it uses everything, as a temporary place to stand before moving on. This is the black heart of everything Schopenhauer saw, and once it is in you, it does not leave. He said a human being is nothing but a wanting, a blind, endless striving he called the will, and that this wanting has one merciless property: it can never be satisfied. Not really, not for more than a breath. When you lack the thing, you suffer because you lack it. When you finally seize the thing, the relief lasts an instant, and then the wanting stands back up and walks to the next thing, and you lack again and suffer again forever, aimed at a new target that will also turn to ash. He said human life swings like a pendulum between pain and boredom, the pain of not yet having and the boredom of having got. And there is no third place to stand. There is no arrival. There was never going to be an arrival. The whole architecture of your life is built around reaching a place that is not there. So look at the person you envy and see them truly for the first time. They got the thing, and it did to them exactly what getting things does to you. It filled them for a week and then emptied, and now they stand inside the beautiful life you are longing over, wanting something they do not have, feeling the identical lack you feel tonight, just pointed at a different object. The settled, arrived, finally enough peace you were imagining they possess is not in that photo. It was never in anyone. You were lying awake envying a state of mind that no human being has held for longer than a moment in the entire history of the species. And you already know this is true, which is the worst part. Think of what you desperately wanted 5 years ago, the thing whose absence was the reason your life was not yet good. You have some of it now. You got it. And your life does not feel the way you were certain it would feel once you had it. The having became the floor you stand on and stopped being visible at all. You were living right now, tonight, inside several of the exact satisfactions you once lay awake envying in other people, and they are doing nothing for you, because that is what satisfaction does, which is nothing for no one ever. You are already the proof of your own sentence. So, the second question, the thing you envy them for, are you envying the object or the feeling you imagined it gave them? Because they do not have the feeling. They had it for a week like the man, and then it was gone, and now they lie awake wanting, exactly like you, and the thing you are killing yourself to reach would go dead in your hands the same way, and some part of you already knows it, and you reach anyway. The third thing. Of every dark feeling a human can have, the envy is the only one that gives back nothing, not one atom of pleasure, only pure loss. And Schopenhauer noticed this with something close to awe. Somewhere tonight there is a young man who has just learned that a friend he genuinely loved had been given something good, deserved, clean, and he watched himself, in real time, fail to be glad. He said the right words, sent the right message, performed the whole warm shape of it. And underneath, in his stomach, something cold coiled and would not uncoil, and got worse the more he pictured his friend's happiness. He hated himself because he loved this person and he could not make the coldness let go. He could feel it sitting behind his ribs like something with its own pulse. And he understood in that moment that some rotten thing lived in him that he could not reach and could not kill. Schopenhauer looked straight at this and said the thing no one wants to hear. Every other vice, he observed, throws the sinner at least a scrap. Greed enjoys its hoard. Lust enjoys its wanting. Rage has the hot release of the strike. Pride feels warm from the inside. But envy alone of all of them hands you nothing, not a crumb. It is pure suffering with no reward attached, the one sin that punishes you completely and pays you in nothing, that makes you smaller and gives you not one thing back for the shrinking. You do not enjoy envying. It only hurts, quietly, in the dark, and hollows you. And it does something worse than hollow you. It poisons the people you love without your permission, in silence, because envy turns the ones you should be closest to into threats. The friend who rises becomes a mirror you cannot bear to look into. The sibling with the good news becomes a ruler laid against your own shortfall. You begin, without ever deciding to feel a small, unspeakable relief when the people you love struggle, and a small, unspeakable ache when they thrive. And it is so monstrous said plainly that you will never say it, so it just lives in you, curdling the closeness from the inside. You stand at the party, smiling, loved, surrounded, and something in you rots quietly at the good fortune of people who care about you, and you are more alone in that warm, crowded room than you would be in an empty one, because the loneliness is made of a thing you cannot confess and cannot stop. So the third question, when envy takes you, what does it actually give you? Name it, because unlike every other darkness in you, this one gives nothing at all. It only leans close and whispers that you are less again and again, and asks for nothing in return except every good feeling you might have had. The fourth thing, the people at the top, the ones you are sure have escaped this, feel it more sharply than you do, not less, and there is no height you could climb that would put you above it, because Schopenhauer understood it was never about the height at all. And then there is the woman who reached the summit of the thing she was climbing. The title, the money, the recognition, the life that from below looks like the finish line everyone is straining toward. And what no one below her knows is that at the top, the comparison did not end, it sharpened. Because her peers are no longer ordinary people, they are the other summit dwellers, and they have more, and every gain she claws out is measured instantly against theirs. And the gap that tortures her now is not the vast gap between her and the world. It is the thin, unbearable, ever-present gap between her and the handful of people who have slightly more than she does. She climbed the entire mountain to escape the feeling of being behind, and reached the peak to find the feeling already there, waiting, sharpened to a finer point, Because at the top, everyone is exceptional, and the blade cuts closer to the bone. Schopenhauer understood this is the trap folded inside the trap, and it is the one that takes the whole life. People believed high enough, rich enough, arrived enough, the wanting and the measuring will finally go quiet. It does not go quiet. It cannot, because it was never about any absolute amount. It is about the gap between you and whoever fills your eye. And no matter how high you climb, there is always someone in view with more. And now they are the mark, and the gap is the only thing you can see. The rich do not envy the poor into peace. They envy the richer, more finely, more constantly, with more to lose and less ground beneath them. And here is the mirror that should end the chase, and instead usually just deepens the horror. You are, at this exact moment, being envied by someone. This is not flattery, it is arithmetic. Someone looks at your life, your face, your work, some ordinary thing you have and no longer even see, and feels the precise stab you feel looking up. To someone tonight, you are the person in the photo. You are the one who made it. And you know from the inside with total certainty that it is a lie, that you do not feel arrived, that the thing they ache over did nothing to fill you. Now hold both at once. You are being envied wrongly by someone below you in the exact way you are envying wrongly someone above you. The whole structure is billions of people misreading each other in both directions at the instant everyone's certain someone else is holding the thing, and no one, anywhere, at any height, actually holding it. The proof is you. You are already standing somewhere that someone below you is dreaming of, and it feels like nothing. It has always felt like nothing. That is the report from the summit, and the summit is empty. All the way up. And if you could sit inside the mind of one of the people you envy most, one of the ones who seem to have genuinely arrived, you would not find peace there. You would find a person who cannot enjoy the thing they have because they are already afraid of losing it. A person who checks compulsively whether the people around them are gaining because every gain by someone else is felt as a loss to them. A person for whom the success became a floor they now have to defend rather than a summit they get to rest on. Because the moment you have something, the fear of losing it moves in and takes the room where the joy was supposed to live. The person you envy is not celebrating, they are guarding. They lie awake too, not with the ache of not having, but with the colder terror of having something that could be taken, of being overtaken, of the younger and hungrier ones climbing fast behind them. You were looking up at them thinking they have escaped the thing that torments you. They have not escaped it. They have only traded the fear of never getting it for the fear of losing it. And if anything, that second fear is worse, because now there's something real to lose, and the whole structure of their life has become a wall built around the thing that was supposed to make them happy, and instead just made them afraid. There is no altitude at which this stops. You are envying people who would, if they were honest, tell you the view from up here is not what you think, and that they are as tired as you are, and as unfinished, and as far from the peace you were imagining they have found. So the fourth thing. What if the person at the top of the thing you want is not free of this at all, but chained to it tighter than you? Because they have staked their entire self on a rank that 1,000 people are actively trying to take, and cannot afford, even for one night, to fall behind. What if the peak you are staring up at is the most exposed and most frightened place on the whole mountain? The fifth thing. You are not even envying what you think you are envying, and you never have been. And Schopenhauer understood that the real wound is always somewhere else, hidden underneath, older and unreachable by any object on earth. Think of the man eaten alive with envy over a coworker's promotion, certain, absolutely certain that what he wanted was the title, he could taste it. And only months later, after the envy had devoured a whole season of his peace, did he see in a quiet, unbearable moment that he did not want that job at all. He would have hated it. What he wanted was the feeling he imagined it would hand him, to be seen, to be told finally that he was enough, to silence for 1 hour the low, constant hum of not mattering that he had carried since he was a boy too small to name it. And that is where nearly all of it was planted, long before you could defend yourself against it. The child measured against a sibling. The child who learned that love arrived only with achievement, that being enough was conditional, that there was a ranking in the house and a place in it that had to be earned and could be lost. The comparison did not begin with the phone. The phone only handed a lifelong wound an infinite supply of new people to bleed against. You were taught before you could speak in full sentences that your worth was a position relative to others. And you have been anxiously checking that position ever since, in every room, against every person, for your entire life. The checking feels like your own personality now. It feels like just who you are. But it was installed in you by people who were themselves installed, passing down a wound they never saw, generation after generation, each one certain it was simply the truth about the world. The promotion was never the thing. It was a screen he had thrown a much older, much deeper hunger onto, a hunger no title on earth could ever have fed, and he had spent months of his one life starving at the wrong door. This is the subtlest and the cruelest thing Schopenhauer saw. The specific thing you envy, the car, the house, the face, the love, the title, is almost never the real object. It is a symbol. It stands in for something underneath that you actually lack. And that something is almost never a thing at all. It is a feeling. To be secure, to be loved, to be at peace inside your own skin, to feel that your bare existence is justified, that you are allowed to be here. And you have taken that vast, formless, ancient hunger and welded it onto a specific object that someone else happens to have, and told yourself that the object would end the hunger. It would not. It cannot. The object was never wired to the wound. That is why people get the exact thing they envied and feel nothing shift. They fed the symbol, and the real thing underneath went on starving in the dark, where it has starved the whole time, where it will keep starving through every object you ever manage to seize, for as long as you keep aiming at the symbol instead of the wound. And you can see it clearest in the envies that shame you, the ones that make no sense. Have you envied someone a thing you do not even want? Their marriage when you do not wish to marry, their child when you do not want children, their career in a field that bores you. It happens constantly and feels insane and is actually the purest proof of everything Schopenhauer is saying. You are not envying the marriage or the child or the career. You are envying the settledness they seem to have, the look of a person who knows what their life is for, and you have pinned that longing onto whatever object was nearest. The object is nearly random. The hunger underneath is exact and ancient and yours, and it is a hunger for a peace you have not found and cannot find in any department you have been searching, because it was never there. So, the fifth question, and it takes more honesty than the dark will usually allow. The thing you envy most, if it were yours tomorrow, what do you truly believe it would give you? Go past the object, name the feeling under it, because that feeling is the real hunger. It has been with you since before you can remember, and the thing you have been envying was never once going to feed it, and some part of you has always known that too. So that is the machine. Every beam of it. You cannot win the comparison because it is rigged. You could not keep the prize if you won it because nothing satisfies. The feeling pays you in nothing and rots the people you love. The height you are climbing toward is more frightened than you are, and the thing you want is a mask over a wound no thing can close. And if you do nothing, if you simply let this run the way it has been running, it does not stay still. It takes the whole life. It is entirely possible. It is in fact the ordinary way of things to arrive at the very end of your one existence, having never once lived inside it. To have spent every year measuring and comparing, chasing after other people's shells, present for none of your own actual days, and to understand only in the last of them, when there is no time left to spend differently, that you were given a life and watched everyone else's instead, that it is over,
that you were never really in it. That is the real dread, not that you envy. That envy, left alone, quietly eats the only thing you were ever given, and you let it, and then it is gone. And picture, honestly, what that actually looks like from the inside at the end. Not dramatic, not a single terrible moment, just a slow accumulation of ordinary evenings, each one spent measuring, comparing, reaching after a life that belonged to someone else, and never once fully inhabiting the life that was actually yours. 1,000 dinners where you were half present because part of you was somewhere else, envying. 1,000 mornings that you did not really see because you were already comparing them to a better morning someone else appeared to be having. Your own children, your own friends, your own ordinary, irreplaceable days, all of it happening right in front of you, and you not there for it because you were looking sideways the entire time at people who were also looking sideways, and none of you ever turned to face the thing you were actually being given. And then, one day, the days run out, the way they always do, quietly, without warning, and you understand, far too late to do anything about it, that you were handed one life, one, the only one there was ever going to be, and you spent it watching everyone else's, and now it is over, and you were never really in it. That is not a nightmare scenario. That is the ordinary, default, statistically likely way for a human life to go unless something interrupts it. This video is trying to be that interruption. There is one more thing to see before the mercy, and it is the hinge the whole thing turns on. Every flash of envy you have ever felt was information, not about them, about you. You do not envy what you do not care about. You feel nothing looking at the possessions of a life you would not want. The stab only comes when you see someone holding something that a real and buried part of you actually longs for, which means the feeling you've been ashamed of your whole life, the one you would never confess at the dinner table, has been quietly telling you the truth about what you want over and over, and you have been too busy hating yourself for feeling it to ever stop and listen to what it was pointing at. The envy was never the enemy. It was a compass you were taught to be ashamed of, spinning all your life toward the things you were afraid to admit you wanted. And you can keep drowning in it, or you can finally read it and let it point and let the person go and walk toward the real thing yourself. But first, you have to stop looking sideways long enough to see it. Now, here is the mercy. It is the only one, and I told you it would be thin and cold, and it is also true, and it is all there is, and it will have to be enough.
It is this: there is no one to envy. Not because you should rise above the feeling, and not because better people do not feel it, but because the place you're envying people for reaching does not exist, and no one is standing in it. The race you have been losing since you were a child is not a real race. There is no line. No one has crossed it. No one is ahead of you because there is no track. Every person you have ever envied is in the same dark you are in tonight, holding the same lit screen, reaching after someone else, and not one of them is standing anywhere finally enough for anyone ever. That is the whole truth of it, and it is bleak. And it is also, if you turn it over, the first free breath you've been allowed in years. A race with no finish is a race you were permitted to stop running. Not win, stop. You can set the measuring down, not because you finally got ahead, but because there was no ahead and never a behind, and the entire ladder was painted on a wall you could have walked around at any time. And when you stop, nothing is waiting there to reward you. No peace, no arrival, no prize. Schopenhauer promises you none of it. There is only your own actual life, the single one you will ever have the inside of, the ordinary, unwitnessed, real thing. Still going, still here. For now. So here's the last question, the only one that finally matters. Now that you know there is no one ahead of you and nothing to reach, now that you know the people in the photos are lying in the same dark beside you, reaching at the same lie, are you going to spend the rest of the one life you get running a race that does not exist and reach the end never having lived a day of it? Or are you going to stop tonight and turn around and look at the only life you will ever be given the inside of before it is over
and you were never there.
Pick one. Be honest about which one you have been choosing, and tell me the truth in the comments, the real one, the one you would never say at the dinner table. Tell me about the time you felt that flicker of relief when someone you love failed, not to shame yourself, to finally set it down in the open next to everyone else who has felt the exact same thing and been just as afraid to say it. Say the name of the feeling you never say. You will not be the only one, and you are never the only one. And that, in the end, is the closest thing to mercy this whole bleak truth has to offer. I read every single one,